What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Alolan DataDex with me, TheOneIntegral. Now last episode we covered our first Ultra Beast Pheromosa, and I asked you guys which bug type from Alolan you wanted to see me cover this episode, which is a choice between Vikavolt and Ribombee, and of course Vikavolt won. A lot of people did say Ribombee, but Vikavolt of course being a Pokemon a lot of people were excited for coming into the generation. It's not surprising that it won. But before we have next episode, or before we get into this one, we have next episode to think about, because we are covering another Alolan form, and this is going to be an electric type. We have the choice between Alolan Raichu or Alolan Golem. So do you want the electric psychic type, or do you want the rock electric type? Let me know down below which one you want to see, and of course, the one with most votes will be covered next episode. But for now, let's jump in and have a look at another electric type, Vikavolt. It's number 738 in the National Pokédex, the Stag Beetle Pokemon and Bug Electric type. Dimension and sort of size wise, it stands out, or it is, in terms of probably wingspan, 4 foot and 11 inches or 1.5 meters large, which is pretty damn big, and weighs 99.2 pounds or 54 kilograms. Breeding wise, it's in the bug egg group, which isn't too surprising, and the male female split is 50-50, which again isn't too surprising since that's what most Pokemon are nowadays. Evolution wise, of course we have Grubbin to start off, which evolves into Charger Bug starting at level 20, and then you have to level up in the vast Pony Canyon to get yourself a Vikavolt from that. Looking at Vikavolt's base stats, you can see it is clearly a special attack of 145 base special attack, which is actually quite large, and of course attack is 70, so we're not going to be looking at it at all. Its defenses are sort of mediocre at 90 and 75, but it has very lacking in speed, which is 43, so while you would have thought Vikavolt might be a really fast special attacker, it doesn't seem like that. It's a hard-hitting special attacker, but speed is really nothing to shout about, so you sort of want to forget about the speed overall. Ability-wise, Vikavolt only has one ability for it, and that is Levitate, because of course that just makes it immune to ground type moves, and you can't really have any alternatives in terms of those Pokemon. So looking at its typing, we can see that in terms of resistances, it resists 4 grass, electric, fighting and steel, which is pretty good. It's only weak to 2 types with this type, which actually really is quite good, and that's fire and rock, so it's decent there. And of course it is immune to ground because of that levitate, and it takes neutral from the other types, so generally only having 2 weaknesses is pretty damn good. Its defenses aren't as amazing as we might hope, I suppose, but the high special attack is pretty darn good, so combined with the typing it's not too bad. But generally other things do let it down, and that's the moves if we look at now. So the first move you could use for your Vikavolt is actually Discharge, and this is at level 43, but only by Grubbin and Charger Bug, so you have to get Charger Bug up to level 43 before you evolve it into a Vikavolt, otherwise you won't be able to learn it even via Heart Scale if you evolve it beforehand. Discharge is an alternative to Thunderbolt, as we'll look at later on. It is, I guess, for multi-battles, for more than 2-on-2s, VTC and stuff, if you're using ground types on your team, for example, or if you want to just power hacks people, because it does have quite a high chance to paralyze. But Thunderbolt, generally, in terms of singles, will be the way you want to go. Because, also sort of weighing up, if you level up your Charge Bug with level 43 and then evolve it, you won't be able to get access to this next move, which is level 31, Bug Buzz. Charge Bug does not learn this, so it's a choice basically, Discharge or Bug Buzz. Bug Buzz is your main bug type stab move, decent, special, base 19, nothing too much extra to say there. And then one fun level move, level 49, Agility. Now we're looking at Agility set later on, because you can work it in a good way, so obviously agility sharply increases your speed, so it can be used to some effect, and of course we'll look at that when we come to the set. Then we have some TMs, of course, to do the rest of the moves. The first one is TM 10 Hidden Power. The move pool for Vikavolt is not amazing, hence why it's sort of not as good. Obviously the speed brings it down, but the move pool also does. So to get anything other than, an electric, a bug, or like a grass or steel move, you have to use Hidden Power, and of course that's very low, but you can use Hidden Power in some ways. Looking at what you're weak to fire and rock, so you could look for a Hidden Power water maybe, or a Hidden Power ground would be pretty good for that aspect, and different options there in terms of shoring up your patches in your coverage. Then we have TM24 Thunderbolt, as I mentioned earlier, generally basically what you'll be using for an electric type stab. TM53 is an energy ball, not a grass type move, so again it covers rock types there and gives you a bit more coverage against other things like ground, which obviously electric type moves won't affect, so it's a possibility to run. Then we have TM72 Volt Switch, another electric type move, less power than Thunderbolt, but of course it allows you to switch out, equivalent of U-turn, so it is definitely something to think about on your sets, especially because you don't have that huge a move pool, so it's not a huge sort of loss of running both Thunderbolt and Volt Switch. And then one final TM here is Flash Cannon TM91, Steel type move again, affects rock types, it's super effective against that, so it's an option there. But generally, it's a bad move pool for Vikavolt here. It has, you know, bug and electric stabs, but apart from that, it's very lacking. There's not really two options that it would be able to make amazing use of. Moving on to the sets though, as I mentioned, we're going to have sort of a fully attacking set and then one focusing on, you know, working around agility. So jumping into the first one, the move pool, move options are going to be Thunderbolt or Discharge for your first slot, Bug Buzz, then we have Flash Cannon or Hidden Power, and then Volt Switch or Hidden Power. You could obviously throw Energy Ball in here as well if you wanted. Ability is Levitate, Nature is a modest one, held item will be Choice Specs, and the EVs we're putting maximum health points and maximum special attack, with the last few in special defense. So looking at the moves first, as I mentioned, Thunderbolt generally is where you want to go first. Discharge is an option if you want to power hacks, or if it's looking at a 2v2 VDC sort of style. Bug Buzz is your Bug Stab. Then the other last two sort of sets, you have Flash Cannon, Volt Switch, or Energy Ball to choose from, as well as Hidden Power if you need to run a different extra type. Again, depends on sort of the team you're going to be running Vikavolt inside, along with. Flash Cannon gives you sort of coverage against those rock types, as does Energy Ball, so you don't really need to run both of those, because rock types are your main sort of weakness. Of course, ground types are also another option, so you might want to run Energy Ball for that, but of course, there are other options to think about, and obviously you don't have to run Volt Switch since you do have Thunderbolt. You could run Flash Cannon and Energy Ball and not have to lose one of them, because Volt Switch is not necessary, it's just another option to give a bit more flexibility. Ability is obviously the only one available. Nature is a modest one because of our low speed. There is really no reason to put anything in speed because it's not going to have much of an effect. You have such low speed anyway, you're not going to, even with maximum speed investment, you are really not going to outspeed that many things or that many things you would care about. So really it's better just to go for full power, and you know, hence we have 252 health points EVs as well, so we're a bit more bulky and we can actually survive some more moves. So the modest nature, the maximum special attack EVs, and the choice specs all allow us to power up our special attack really quite high, so we can take an attack and then throw back with all we have. And of course, obviously it's choice set, so it's really full offensive. You could run a Life Orb here as well. Only trouble with running a Life Orb is that health points drain, combined with the fact that you're going to be taking attacks, means you're going to only be able to get in 1 or 2 or 3 hits, as opposed to maybe more if you're running a choice specs. But of course, choice specs does lock you in, so again, it's option and, you know, what sort of situation you're going to be using it in. But generally, yeah, it's a choice set, so you'd go in, you would just do as much damage as possible. You know, Thunderbolt or Bug Buzz if you have the option to, if it's super effective. And then if you have other options, if it's a rock type for example, or a ground type, obviously Thunderbolt and Bug Buzz aren't going to be that effective against those types of types, those sorts of types, maybe probably better to say that. But we have Flash Cannon and, you know, possibly Energy Ball if you're running it, to cover up those sort of patches in your coverage area, coverage schema. But yes, that's sort of the first set. I mentioned though, we are looking at a second set here for Vikavolt, and that's an agility set, because agility can be used to some success, I suppose. The moveset is of course going to start off with agility, then we have Thunderbolts, Energy Ball, and then finally Flash Cannon or Bug Buzz as the last move. Levitate is for levitating, of course. Nature's Time is a timid or a modest one, probably timid is what you want to go for though. Held Item is a Life Orb, or we could have Focus Sash. It really depends on how you want to play it, I suppose. And the EVs this time we are doing maximum special attack and max speed and the last few health points. So let's talk about agility first. With a timid nature and maximum speed EVs, once you use agility you can actually outspeed a decent amount of things, because that's a +2 speed boost, which is really quite high. So putting those extra sort of, you know, boosts in speed, thanks to EVs and nature, do allow us to do that. So the idea is, if you're in Focus Sash, you can switch on basically anything. As long as it doesn't have stealth rocks up, of course, you would be able to Focus Sash successfully. Then you can agility, you will likely be faster than whatever is out on the field, and then you can start dishing out Thunderbolts and Energy Balls, and hopefully, thanks to your high special attack rather, you'll be able to do decent damage, at least, you know, kill 1 or 2 Pokemon before you get taken out yourself. Of course, Vikavolt is likely not going to see much or any use in the higher OU tiers, possibly, you know, get some use in UU, I suppose. So you're not going to be looking at the really fast Pokemon, or the really powerful Pokemon, but you know, with this agility it allows you to have 145 base special attack and be able to outspeed, which is really quite powerful. So once you get that sort of setup, you can go. Of course, as I mentioned, you could run a Life Orb instead of a Focus Sash here. What this means is you won't be able to just say, I'm going to switch in, I'm going to agility, and I'm going to do it. Because if you switch in and there's a fire type and it's just going to fire blast you and take you out in one hit, then of course you can't, you know, you can't really go for a Life Orb. But if you're going to play it safer and think, right, okay, I'm going to wait till a Therafall on the field, I'm going to switch in, and then I'm going to agility, and then I'll obviously have to switch out or whatever, and then you have your Life Orb instead, and you can dish out even more damage, which basically increases the chance, makes it more likely for you to be able to get rolling, I suppose, and attack, etc. Take them all out without having to switch out possibly, or only take out one Pokemon before you yourself get taken out because you're at 1 health points. So that's a possibility there. You could also run a modest nature rather than a timid one if you want to go for a bit more power. Just means you're going to be outspeeding less once you've agilitied. That's not a word, but whatever. You'll be outspeeding less, but you'll be doing more damage, so you have a lot higher chance to be able to hit one hit kill and then be able to keep going like that. It really depends on the rest of your team, I suppose. If you're looking for a fast Pokemon, agility Vikavolt probably is not the one, but it's an option. And of course, it depends on your enemy's team as well. Of course, you don't know that before the battle, but if you're running a modest one and you've taken out most of the speed threats, you can then go for it. Whereas if you're running a modest one and there are some really fast Pokemon still there, you might want to think about taking them out first before you send in your modest Vikavolt. So that's that really. You go in your agility and you start doing damage basically. So yes, that's sort of it for Vikavolt. There's not much more to say. Only 2 sets. It's not going to be a hugely sort of competitively viable Pokemon, but it could see some use here and there. But of course we have another extra type for next week to choose, and that's between Raichu and Golem, the Alolan forms. So let me know which one you want to see down below in the comment section by saying Raichu or Golem, and the one with the most votes will be covered next episode. But for now, this is going to be it for today, so I should be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.